The Archer House is the oldest hotel in Northfield today, but it was not the first one built here. By the time it was built, Northfield was more than 20 years old. It had 2 colleges, was served by several railroads, and had a broad agricultural and commercial base, including the Ames Mill, whose history I talk about in another of these narratives. Indeed, the town had already seen a number of hotels come and go. John Wesley North built the American House shortly after he founded Northfield in 1855. Others soon followed, almost all of them wood-frame structures. They included the Jenkins House and the Mansion House, and on Bridge Square, where the Central Block now stands, was the Dampier Hotel. These early hotels were not elegant affairs. They offered simple rooms containing a bed and a washstand and a bath down the hall. They were more like rooming houses than hotels as we know them today, but they did what needed to be done. They provided a place for salesmen, preachers, theater troupes, college students, and their parents to stay when they came to town to visit or on business. The hotels also accommodated area farmers when they came to town to buy supplies or sell produce. A horse and wagon only goes so fast, and for many farmers it was not possible to ride into town and return home in a single day. If they had lots of business in town or lived far away, they needed to stay overnight. By 1877, however, Northfield had frequent rail service to the Twin Cities as well as St. Louis and Chicago, and anything or anybody coming to Northfield from further than 15 miles away, the distance a team and wagon could travel in a day, came by train. James Archer, an innkeeper from Hastings, Minnesota, saw these changes and recognized an opportunity to establish a new kind of hotel in Northfield. When he opened the Archer House in August 1877, the local paper described the event as an episode of grandest proportions in Northfield's history. The guest list included prominent businessmen, government officials, and wealthy families from Faribault and the Twin Cities. Elegant and substantial, the Archer House sported a mansard roof and arched dormer windows on the 4th floor, details characteristic of the French Second Empire style that was very popular at the time. Made of brick, it was one of the earliest brick commercial buildings on Division Street. It cost Archer the outstanding amount of about $13,000 to build. We don't have photographs of the interior of the Archer House, but it was reportedly of an opulence suitable for the period between the Civil War and the turn of the century, which was known as the Gilded Age. It had 50 rooms as well as a telegraph office on the 1st floor and a ladies' parlor on the 2nd floor. A reporter from the Rice County Journal observed, "There is the unequivocal indication of taste in every room, and those who wish to spend an easy hour to tarry for a season amid genial surroundings, not in idleness but in wholesome reflections, will find on the 1st floor a library of solid volumes, any one of which, opened for a purpose, will raise the plane of thought and feeling, while the body can be made most comfortable around there anywhere." The south wing, toward Bridge Square and now home to the Chapati restaurant, had a separate apartment with white marble floors. Archer did not keep the hotel long. He sold it the following year to A.W. Dampier, who owned and managed the Dampier Hotel several blocks to the south on Bridge Square. The Archer House changed hands again in 1883 and yet again in 1889, when Henry Collar took over. Collar, who later established the famed Collar Hotel in Rochester, Minnesota, gave the Archer House to his daughter Elizabeth and son-in-law Homer Roberts in 1894. They installed telephones and built the north wing with a first-floor dining hall. In 1900, they installed electric lights in order to stay current with the latest trends. Over the next few years, the hotel changed owners and names several more times. Known as the Manawa for a while, it became Bowles Hotel in 1911, after Fred Bowl purchased it following the closing of his restaurant, which I mention in the narrative on the State Bank building. The following year he sold it to G.R. Stewart, and it became the Stuart Hotel, a name it was to carry for nearly 70 years until 1981. The clientele of the Stuart consisted of business people, students, and other visitors to Northfield. They came to Northfield on the train and were picked up at the train station by a horse-drawn coach. All told, 20 or more passenger trains a day came through Northfield. 3 railroad lines served the city, shipping milk and other dairy products and flour from the Ames Mill to markets nationwide. Although it retained the Stuart name, the hotel changed ownership 8 times between 1929 and 1981. We don't know precisely why the hotel was sold so frequently, but one of the reasons may have been the rise of the automobile and the construction of good roads, highways really, across the country. Motels sprang up close to these highways, posing competition for old downtown hotels like the Stuart, which had limited parking. In any case, by the 1970s, the Stuart had seen better days, and that was putting it charitably. Its rooms were small and un-air-conditioned, and for many of them the bathroom was still down the hall. Townspeople and college students came to know the run-down building primarily as a place to catch Jefferson Line buses. In 1981, Dallas Haas, a Northfield building contractor, purchased the Stuart. He restored its original name, the Archer House, and restored it to much of its former glory, installing modern amenities while managing to retain its 19th century charms. He not only converted it to one of the best places to stay while visiting Northfield, but also revitalized adjacent commercial spaces. The current owners are continuing his legacy, adding features to the 130-year-old building that will extend its service far into the 21st century.